It's the final week of the regular season. Welcome to the Pump Fake. Jared Bailey joined by Ben Raven and his Seattle Mariners gear. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Yeah, it's the last week of the regular season and started feeling that a little bit. But it's a different deal around these parts. You know, it's kind of like we don't know what next week's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be locker room clean out on Monday or covering a playoff team.
I mean, this is the first time in a very long time that the Detroit Lions are playing meaningful football in the final week of the regular season.
6 years.
This is a very exciting time for. Yeah, I mean, you've said you've been on the beat for what? This is your fourth year doing it?
Yeah, this is my fourth season. Yep, and they've been last place every year, but this year.
Jesus.
Last place at the end of the year, and also last place through November and December of all of those seasons too. So, I mean, it's
a welcome change.
No, it is. It's been fun. It's been different. It's been refreshing. It's been writing different stories, and it's just kind of been. It came at a good time too. Getting back in the locker room, getting one-on-one opportunities, just kind of getting back into the swing of things. It's just been tired, but like it's a good tired. It's a good motivated tired. You know, it's like holy shit. I've had maybe 1 or 2 days off since the end of July, but whatever. Here we are.
In terms of the quarterback play, I do want to bring this up. Since week 12, in terms of EPA plus completed percentage over expected, Jared Goff is fourth in the NFL behind Jalen Hurts. Sam Darnold is number 2. That is a complete anomaly in itself. Yeah. But it's Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, and then Patrick Mahomes is 5th. So that just shows you how well he's been playing since Thanksgiving. And just how well this Lions team has been doing as well. There's another one that I wanted to bring up because in terms of team tiers based off of offensive EPA and defensive EPA per play, the Detroit Lions are near the top of the NFL in terms of where they rank. So they are in, they're hovering on the second and third tier, but the first tier is made only of the 49ers. So they're in the second tier with teams like the Cowboys, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles, somehow the Steelers, and then the Detroit Lions are in that second tier as well. So they've been playing excellent football down the stretch when they've needed it. And yeah, it's they'll need a little bit of help if they win as well, right? They'll need Seattle. Do they need Seattle to lose?
They need Seattle to lose, and they need to beat the Packers. So it's they need a little help. The Packers are winning in. The Seahawks are win, and then Packers lose, and they're in. So it's kind of the Lions are rooting for the Seahawks to lose. The Seahawks are rooting for the Lions to win. It's it's sloppy, man. But no, Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff's been the consistent presence on this streak, dating back to week 10, and I mean, the only people who are still dogging on him or ranking him so low in their quarterback rankings are the take protectors, the guys who aren't ready to admit that they were wrong, or the guys that don't allow guys like him to kind of bounce back. Because, I mean, shoot, I don't know how you've watched Jared Goff since week 10, and he's been one of the, 7 or 8 best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's been clean. It's been good. He's throwing downfield. He's spreading the ball around. He's not fumbling. He's not taking stupid sacks. He's not extending plays. I mean, everything he needed to fix, he's fixed this year. So it's kind of like me. I was like off this train like as soon as I could be, but like he's really kind of changed my tune to I'm 95% positive he'll play out his contract as the starting quarterback in Detroit. Like I'm there. Like I'm there. It's not. He's played himself into that. Like you just have to give him props for that. I mean, he proved me 80% wrong about him. Still a lot way to go, but I think he's more than a bridge.
Yeah, and in terms of adjusted EPA per play since week 12, he leads the NFL in that category. And then the rest of the top 5 is Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Patrick Mahomes. So that same 5 from the first category, but a little bit reshuffled, and Jared Goff is on the top of that. Yeah, it's phenomenal just how well that he's played. And that's not to say that we've had this conversation before. You know, when everything is right around him, he can be very productive. Saying that he's played well doesn't mean that you think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think anybody's going to say that. But you know, if you build a team well where you have a great offensive line, give him a couple targets and a reliable run game, just about any guy can play well. But Jared Goff, I think, has exceeded. He's not just. If you put David Blau in that offense, I don't think the team is as good as what I'm trying to say. Jared Goff deserves a lot of credit for how well the offense is playing.
No, and I just think gosh, I mean, you look at Geno. Geno's had a good season, but he's been really inconsistent. I think Jared Goff's been like, I'm not ready to put him in that like you said, but like he's been better than Geno Smith this year. I think at least the last 10 weeks. It's just
and it's weird that everybody decided to give all the love and attention to Geno Smith in the first half of the season. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and now we're at a point where Jared Goff has played his butt off in the second half of the season to get the Lions back into this thing, and yeah, I think the vast majority of NFL fans not from Wisconsin would love to see the Lions get in. But they're going to have to do something that they haven't done in a very long time, and that's win in Lambeau to do it.
Yeah, they've won in Lambeau more recently than they had through the previous 30 years, but it's still the big boss at the end of the line. It's still the big boss level. It's still Aaron Rodgers. It's still Lambeau Field. It's under the lights. I mean, it's a team that doesn't. It's a franchise that doesn't play in prime time much. It's their first Sunday night football road game since 2014, I think. That's a really freaking long time. And none of the guys that are on this team were on that team. So, no, it's I really don't have a good read on this weekend's game because both the Packers and Lions are both playing really well right now. And the Packers are kind of, I don't know. If I were the Packers, I would look at the exact blueprint from that Carolina game and just say, oh, yeah, we're just going to run Dillon and Jones down their throat until they stop us. And then when they crowd the box, we're going to play action and let Aaron Rodgers cook you apart. I mean, I think Green Bay's plan of attack should be pretty simple. Watch that Carolina game over and over again, and that's how you beat this Lions team. But Green Bay got cute back in week 9, man. They had a couple chances. I mean, Detroit really wasn't moving the ball. And Green Bay was kind of moving the ball, but they got
cute the ball over 3 times in the red zone.
4th and goal at the 1-yard line, and they try throwing it back to the left tackle, Batakari, and it's just like Aiden Hutchinson was waiting there ready for it. But yeah, 4 straight incompletions to win the game in the red zone. I mean, that was the turning point for both of these teams. Both of these teams have been the hottest team, 2 of the hottest teams in the league, barring the elite teams at the top. It's exciting. It's really cool to be last regular season game of the season. Like, man, I predicted this team to win 8 games this year, but like I didn't have them closing the season Sunday Night Football in a potential do or die game at Lambeau Field. That's pretty awesome. And hats off to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes for sure.
Sticking in the division, the Vikings are playing for second place in the NFC. They're going to need a little bit of help from the Arizona Cardinals as well to beat the 49ers. So yeah, it's going to be.
Speaking of David Blau.
Yeah, I was going to say. Speaking of David Blau, it's either going to be him. I think Colt McCoy got cleared, so whomever they decide to put under center, Vikings fans are going to be very big fans of that quarterback. Yeah. 2 sides of the coin though for these teams. We'll see what the Vikings decide to do. Like if they just think, yeah, David Blau's playing, we'll play our starters for like the first half and then let whomever come in. Who is their backup? I feel like I should know this.
The Vikings?
Yes.
Oh, isn't it Nick Mullins?
I think, like yeah, you're right. Nick Mullins. Yes. Yeah. He was just in last week. I just can't remember who it was.
That's right. Yeah.
So it would probably be, I mean, if I was the Vikings, I would probably do that. Let them play the first half, get like a comfortable 10-point lead. If you're up by 10, pull everybody. Probably not thinking that David Blau is going to lead an upset victory over the 49ers. But we'll see what they decide to do. In terms of the quarterbacks in this game, Kirk Cousins. No, he's Kirk Cousins. He's played well. He's 11th in the NFL since week 12 in adjusted DPA per play. Justin Fields is 31st, which is last in terms of quarterbacks who have had at least 100 snaps. The Bears have been one of those teams where, yeah, they have a few highlight plays per game until they inevitably lose, sometimes by 15, sometimes by 2, depending on the week. But this is a game that the Vikings need. And especially just to carry some momentum into the playoffs after that embarrassing loss to Green Bay.
I think the Bears are starting Nathan Peterman this weekend, so the Vikings might as well roll their third stringers out.
Did they make that official that they're starting Peterman?
Yeah, I think Fields is out with a hip injury, so it's a Peterman game. I think you try to get to Jefferson to 2,000 yards before halftime and call it good.
That's a good idea. I would just every play is just a go ball to Justin Jefferson and hope and then get out of there.
But no, I know it's because it's if Detroit gets the 7 seed, it's looking very likely it's going to be the Niners, because I think if the Niners win, they're the 2 seed, I believe. I think the Vikings need a Niners loss and a win, which is what a collapse by the Vikings down the stretch here. Just like, my goodness, I know they're not an elite team, but they're a hell of a lot better than what they showed last week.
In terms of that tier list that I brought up since week 12, in terms of these team tiers, the 49ers in their own tier 1, and the tier 2 that I brought up. Tier 3 is Chargers, Jaguars, Bengals, Packers, Panthers. And then tier 4, it's like hovering between Raiders, Patriots. And then we don't see the Minnesota Vikings until tier 5, which is teams like Miami, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, the Giants, the Rams a little bit. So, and what do all those teams have in common? They've struggled down the stretch. So Minnesota Vikings falling right into that. Although I will say this about them. I mean, you bring up those teams. The one thing that I think is more concerning about the Vikings than those teams is Baltimore, injured quarterback. Tampa Bay has been bad all year. I think that they're just an anomaly in themselves. Miami, injured quarterback. So these other teams that have had quarterback issues, like you've got Washington hovering on that tier as well. Back and forth quarterback battle. That's something to leave for concern if you're the Vikings, where you've been kind of blessed by the injury bug, haven't been bit too hard by it, and they just struggled down the stretch. I think a lot of it can be put on the fact that the story of the season for their defense has been you can put up yards on this defense. We'll see how it goes into the playoffs, man, because if they're the 3 seed, they are likely going to play the Giants. The Giants barely lost the game that they played against Minnesota a few weeks ago in Minnesota on a 61-yard field goal. If they play again, I think the Giants beat them.
And honestly, if I'm Minnesota, that sounds like a lot better matchup than facing the freaking Lions for the 3rd time. I mean, seriously.
Or Green Bay.
Green Bay.
It looks like that. I mean, in all likelihood, it seems like the Packers will be that team.
Yeah.
But either way, if you're the Vikings, you're like, it's kind of a pick your poison type situation. Do you play the Giants, who, yes, you can probably beat again, but it's going to be difficult? Or do you want to play a division rival for the 3rd time, both of which could very easily beat you?
I'd be all right with that New York coming to Minnesota thing. So
I'm right on the
Lions make the
Dable
playoffs.
train.
I'm all right going to San Francisco too. That would be all right by me.
I'm riding the Brian Dable train. I said in April. I said in April that team could be a playoff team, and I'm taking my victory lap on that these past couple weeks. In terms of the AFC, though, obviously everything that went down last week puts a huge asterisk on everything going on in the AFC. Great to know that Damar Hamlin is awake, talking, FaceTiming his team. Like, that is the best news that any of us could have gotten this week from everything that happened last Monday night. However, there's now a bunch of scenarios that will go into where the AFC title game will be played, depending on who is in it. It looks like the Chiefs are going to be the number 1 seed if they win. I don't see Jarrett Stidham. By the way, there is a big movement going on Bill's Twitter where they are just trying to connect all the dots where, okay, Jarrett Stidham, the last letter of his first name, the first 3 letters of his last name, spelled Damar Hamlin. He wears number 3. The Raiders are winning this weekend. If that happens, Ben Raven, I will believe in God again. I don't know. Like, I love the whole, I love stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's happening. But so it looks like the Chiefs are going to be the number 1 seed. And then, however, this whole thing shakes out, where it'll be the Bills, the Bengals. I'll have to pull up the list of scenarios. I don't know if you have it in front of you. But it's by and large, the AFC title game is probably going to be played at a neutral site.
Yeah. Which I think that's the best case scenario for sure. I mean,
unless we see like the Jacksonville Jaguars go on the run of a lifetime, and we don't have to worry about that.
Hey, if the Jags win tonight and the Lions make the playoffs, the world is a better place if the Jaguars and Lions are in the playoffs.
Here.
But yeah, no, I don't see the Raiders doing much with the Chiefs today. And does it even matter for the Chiefs? They need a win at least. Is that what it is? They need to
win? So, yeah. I think so.
Okay. Because I've been trying to keep up with it, but it's been like, okay, so it's a coin toss if this happens, and it's
if the Bengals win, then it's a coin toss to see who gets, or if the Ravens win, it's a coin toss to see who hosts the playoff game. I don't know, dude.
All right, here it is.
Many things. Okay.
Here it is. Yeah, the AFC title game will be. This is from NFL.com. The AFC will be played at a neutral site if Buffalo and Kansas City both win or tie in Week 18, and then both teams advance to the AFC title game. And then there's Buffalo and Kansas City both lose. Cincinnati also loses, and then Buffalo and Kansas City goes to the AFC title game. Buffalo and Kansas City both lose. Cincinnati wins in Week 18, and then the AFC title game is either Bills Chiefs or Bengals Chiefs. So okay, so yeah, it sounds like it's probably going to be a neutral game site. So.
More than likely, it's going to be played at a neutral site. Indianapolis said no. I don't know why Indianapolis would say no to hosting the AFC title game. That's the only.
Minneapolis will probably have some free time. By championship weekend.
I don't see.
Yeah, Detroit's replacing their turf and putting in new operation systems and stuff, so they're not available either because that's usually where the Bills go when they need a stadium.
Right.
That's I think the NFL did the best that they could with this scenario. There was no easy answer, and you know what? They got people to agree to it, so I guess that was the best case scenario out of a very impossible situation to please everyone.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to play, at like an indoor stadium as well. To hell with that, man. Go to Pittsburgh. Play it at Acrisure.
Indianapolis said no. Why would they say no? That's such
I don't know.
Yeah. Way to piss off the NFL. They're going to take the combine away from you in 2 years. You did.
Maybe that's why. Take the combine away. Eat shit. Find someone else to play this damn game. We don't give a damn. It's not our problem. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the AFC. It's even like hard to think about how the Bills are going to. I mean, I know all the Hamlin news has been positive. Breathing tube removed is the last update I saw, and that's great. But it's still just like, how the hell are those guys going to be mentally ready to play this weekend? Like, that's so crazy. And
I think the fact that they know he's awake.
No, yeah.
Talking. The fact that he FaceTimed the team, like surprised the team by FaceTiming them in a meeting like that. Bills by $1 billion against.
Oh yeah, you would think so. You would think, it's all that was some scary stuff, and it really rattled every NFL team. I mean, that was the focus of the week. I mean, the biggest Lions game in 6 or 7 years, and the focus of the week was kind of like telling human interest stories, which is great, and I'm happy to do. But it was like a really weird because Monday afternoon we got Dan Campbell press conference after the win, that's before the Monday night game took spot, and it was like intensity. And then the next day we're in the building Wednesday morning. It's like somber. It was just such a tone shift. And I mean, I was talking to Lions players in the locker room, and my beat partner was talking to Lions players in the locker room. And I mean, a couple were like, man, I mean, we're going to play. I'll do whatever the guys want to say. But like, if I was Buffalo, I don't think I'd be playing this weekend. So it was all like it's just been a roller coaster. And it's just, it was humanizing. It was dehumanizing. But hey, I mean, the most important thing is that Hamlin's doing all right. And the Bills training staff sounds like they kick ass. So
I mean, you're seeing all these stories come out about the head trainer who was very vital in saving DeMar by providing the CPR. Everybody at UC Medical who did everything. Like,
it's amazing.
Humans being humans, man. It's been a week of that, and it was very eye-opening to your own mortality in a state where going into the game like DeMar Hamlin was living his dream, and no one expected anything like that to happen. And if it can happen during an NFL game to people who seem, otherworldly, superhuman, it can happen to any of us. So, just tell your people you love them, take care of yourself. And it was a very eye-opening week from a human standpoint.
Yeah, no, it's no, really. I mean, league-wide, the focus was on, it was one central focus this week. The football games were kind of a backdrop. Even, Roger Goodell didn't release a public statement until Friday. How bonkers is that? I mean, he hid in his little cave talking to his little NFL network reporters and doing conference calls and getting leaked memos and stuff. It's like, dude, get your ass out in front of the light and talk. Like, what are you doing? Like, these teams are, I don't know. It just shows the kind of lack of leadership at the top of the NFL. Like, the end result was great, but I just think, like, for him to, like, I don't know. I didn't like that he didn't release a statement. He didn't do anything publicly facing outside of his own network cocoon until Friday. I just think that's super, super lame. There needed to be, I don't know. I just think there needed to be a little more from that regard instead of to your own network that you pay.
I can agree with that. I think a lot of people can agree with that we need to see more. We need to hear more from Roger Goodell. throughout the week, and we didn't.
Dude, you make $1 million a year. Get your ass in front of the cameras.
Here. Yeah. So, and I mean, nothing about transitioning into that's going to be easy. We're happy that DeMar Hamlin's okay. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be playing as fiery as they've played in a very long time, probably all season, against New England, who, by the way, they're currently the number 7 seed. They win, they're in. I don't see that happening. Let me pull up the odds for what they are right now. They're 7.5-point dogs on the road. I would hammer Buffalo minus 7.5.
Yeah, and Buffalo's playing for something. So, God, I didn't know New England was even still in it. They're
the current 7 seed. So the 3 teams that is going to come down to in the AFC, New England's the current 7, Miami, and then somehow, because why the hell not, the Pittsburgh Steelers are still very much in the mix of things because the
Dolphins meltdown and the injuries, man. I can't believe the Steelers are still in it.
It's it was like a month and a half ago, you and I were talking. Steelers were 3-7.
They won 5 of 6.
Then they win 5 of 6.
And should have won that first Ravens game. That's right.
If Mitch Trubisky doesn't decide to throw 3 gifts to the Baltimore Ravens, or even then, he can still throw those 3 gifts. If a field goal doesn't get blocked, Pittsburgh wins, and they win 6 straight down the stretch. Like, it is
It really is.
They were 3-7. We were talking about, okay, do they try to, put a package together, move up, and get a guy like Bryce Young? And now, look, we need, and I had Verderam on earlier this week, and he made a really good point. Let's stop anointing guys after one good game, one good drive. Like, we still don't know if Kenny Pickett's the guy going forward. This is great. Like, these last 2 games, their offense has been god-awful for 55 minutes, and then the last drive, they played really well and snuck away with a win against a currently not great team. The fact that it took them to the final minute to beat Tyler Huntley, that's kind of annoying. The fact that it took them to the final minute to get into the red zone against one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Raiders is kind of annoying. And if they do get in, they're going to get curb stomped by whomever they play. But Mike Tomlin, man, it's death, taxes, and Mike Tomlin being in it in the final week of the season, and God Almighty.
No, Kenny Pickett and a first-round pick for Derek Carr. Who says no?
Steelers fans aren't going to like you for that one, buddy.
Why not? Why not?
You're not hearing a no from me.
I know. I'm just like, why? Derek Carr, man. Jeez, Pete's, give him a freaking stable coach. Give him a defense that's not bottom 12 in the league, and
he hasn't had a defense ranked above 20th since he's entered the league.
It's unbelievable.
And the complete time span that he's entered the league, they have the 32nd ranked defense over that time span.
Every time I think I've come to a personal final verdict on like Derek Carr, I read something like that, and it's like, has he really ever gotten a real chance?
It's kind of like
the a lot with a little.
It's kind of like the Angels in baseball, where you read some crazy stat. It's like Shohei Ohtani just did something that hasn't been done since 1843. Mike Trout hit 7 home runs, and the Angels lost 10-8.
Yeah, like 102. Yeah, or whatever the fuck.
And I think that's where Derek Carr is right now. Is like, he's playing well. Like, we can look at the numbers the last 2 seasons. Last year, that's a team that had no business being in the playoffs with everything going on with John Gruden, Henry Ruggs, an interim head coach. They had to win a lot of games down the stretch to get there in the first place, and they were still, it came down to the last play whether or not they would advance. And then this season, they make a bad head coaching hire from a guy who's proven to be a bad head coach.
They inspired Carolina to keep the interim that's beloved in the locker room.
Hopefully they do. Steve Wilkes absolutely deserves at least an opportunity to have a full season as being head coach and seeing what he can do. They've played really well down the stretch as well. So if you're Derek Carr, I mean, hey, maybe Carolina's a player for Derek Carr, depending on what they decide to do at quarterback. Bless Sam Darnold. He's played well enough over the last, month and a half. I don't think he's the answer long-term there. I don't think he's really
operated well in that system.
Man.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because
I think the 2 options for them is they keep Darnold, draft a guy, until the wheels fall off Darnold, then they put in whomever they draft, or they make a trade for a guy like Derek Carr.
And I'm fascinated to see what happens to I forgot his name. The third round quarterback.
Oh, Matt Corral.
Yeah, there you go. What the heck is he? No, I mean he got hurt in training camp, right?
Yeah,
Preseason,
he got injured in the preseason for the year, so they couldn't really take a look at what they had in him.
So all of a sudden you got a third round quarterback you don't know who it is that a previous regime drafted, and then you got Sam Darnold, a quarterback who's performed well for you that the previous regime traded for. But I just think, my God, I think Derek Carr, if I was Pittsburgh, if you're not committed to Pickett, if I was Carolina, if I was Tampa Bay freaking out about Tom Brady, like, Derek Carr would be at the top of my list, because it's like, he's I'll say this, I just talked up. I think Derek Carr is a more stable, better quarterback than Jared Goff. I really think he's in that mix of like guys you can do stuff with. Like he's not elite, but he can
he's not elite. I think that he is at best like borderline top 10. At worst, he's like 16, 17. Like he's in that like 11 to 17. Yeah. And I think more often than not, he's around 12 to 13 in terms of the best quarterbacks in the league. And hey,
and at his best, he's 8, 9, 10. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I thought about that before we even did this. I was just like, man, Derek Carr would look hella good in Pittsburgh, and I think that would fit very well. You'd give him a coach. You'd find out what this guy is. Is he a franchise quarterback? And that would and he'd be a lot better than anything Pittsburgh's got in town right now. And I mean, stop forcing Mike Tomlin to make lemonade out of lemons. Like give him some prepackaged concentrate.
Here's the thing. I would like that too, because I love Derek Carr. And like I've given Kenny Pickett his flowers the past couple of weeks for leading game-winning drives. That's great. The offense has still been bad. And as much as I would like that, I would be violently shocked if they did that. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that they're going to. I think the New York Jets is going to be a very interesting team to watch in all of this, because if they get Derek Carr, that's a playoff team.
Yeah. I mean,
they've started They've had, I think, 4 different quarterbacks enter the game this year. They've Wilson, Flacco, Mike White, Chris Streveler, who is basically what happens if you combine Tim Tebow and a Four Loko and just see what happens.
Yeah, I'm that's another one I'm fascinated by. Is are they actually committed to making Zach Wilson work? Because
man,
I don't know what you do with him. I mean, he looks so broken.
Joe Douglas can say all he wants. Like, no, we plan on keeping Zach Wilson. No, they don't.
God, it's hard to just bail on a second overall pick after 2 years. So it's fucking.
Here's the thing, man. We've seen enough where it shouldn't be. Because
no, for sure, yeah.
Nothing that he has shown has said, yeah, we can fix this. There's nothing there that can be fixed.
He's got no trade value. None.
No.
None. I mean, maybe no. I don't think he has Sam Darnold trade level. I don't even think he'll get you like a third. Like I don't know. I don't think.
No, if you move Zach Wilson, it's going to be for like a 5th or a 6th. And at that point, that if you're serious about winning with this defense, who's been fantastic all season long. The weapons that they have, especially at running back now, when Breece Hall gets healthy, they got 3 legit guys that they can turn to. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, like they've got guys on that side of the ball. The offensive line has been better. Get a franchise quarterback in there. Don't dilly-dally on trying to fix Zach Wilson. You're going to waste what potential this team has. Get a guy like Derek Carr or a Jimmy Garoppolo, a grown-up in the building who's been there, done that. Don't dilly-dally and try to, we can still fix Zach. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Move on from him, whether it's releasing him, whether it's trading him. There's nothing there that can be salvaged, at least not by this team who is on the rise and needs to capitalize now on what they have.
And they're at pick 13, so you're out of Bryce Young territory, and I don't think the Kentucky Cat, and I am warming on Anthony Richardson, but I don't think he's up there either. But it's like, if you're at pick 13 and you're the Jets, find a way to move up, because like that's a CJ Stroud. Like I think, I don't know.
Even then, man, though, like I don't. If I'm them, I don't want to draft a quarterback though, because then that's another year or two of okay, we got to develop this guy. We've got to build everything around him to make it right. We've got to win games 17-14 because we're not going to be able to score a ton of points. Like, go get a guy. Trade, swallow your pride. Trade for Derek Carr or sign Jimmy Garoppolo. Do something, because relying on young quarterbacks and having to try to develop them and restarting the process has been all they've done for the past decade. Whether it was Sanchez, Geno Smith. Yeah. They drafted Christian Hackenberg in the 2nd round, and he didn't see the field because he couldn't call a play in the huddle. Darnold, Wilson, like this has been a never-ending cycle for the last decade. at almost 15 years, where now they had a little bit of success with Sanchez, but he was never really the reason that they had success. They had an all-world defense when he was
all downhill since Vinny Testaverde.
Chad Pennington for a few minutes.
There you go. Sorry, yeah, one of Marshall's finest. That's
yes.
Right.
So outside of that, they've been in quarterback purgatory. What?
The dart thrower, the precision dart thrower.
They had that 1 year of Favre where they started off like 7-3 and went 8-8 and missed the playoffs.
I always black out and forget about the Brett Favre Jets season.
Yeah, that was something. Like, I remember there was one game in the Brett Favre Jets season. They wore those awful throwbacks, and he threw like 5 touchdowns, and 2 of them were to Jericho Cotchery, and everybody was like, the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. This is the greatest thing ever.
And they put it on like the makeshift Madden cover.
Yes.
The first Madden cover had the Packers uniform on.
Yep.
And then they wore those god-awful jerseys in like week 1 or week 2, and Madden threw that on the cover, and it was like,
Jesus, that's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Zach Wilson's so gosh darn young, but I think you are seeing why he was such a risk, and it was such a volatile season in which he broke out at BYU and it was
against bad teams where he was, able to do a bunch of just schoolyard stuff because he wasn't facing, valiant competition. Look.
He makes some fun. He's fun. He can be fun, and he's got a talented arm.
He's fun if you're on the other sideline watching him run 30 yards backwards and throw it to your safety. I'm sure that's fun for the Patriots who have caught. How many interceptions has he thrown to the Patriots in the last 2 years alone? Because he threw 4 in the first game last year. He threw 3 in a game against them this past year. Like, that's at least 7 in 2 games that he's just gifted to the Patriots over the last 2 years. There's nothing to be salvaged there, man. I just don't see it.
He came, that Lions game was so freaking 18 of 35 for 317.
But he had that one throw from the far hash across his body to Uzama where everybody was like, holy shit, we might have something.
and then he had another one that was an end over end.
Yes. They look like a duck.
I saw him and I was like, "This is a freaking experience, man. I don't know. I'd almost ride this out, man. Just let it. It's fun TV. No, you got a really good defense, and if you got an NFL Street Volume 2 quarterback back there, just kind of throw it.
Look, man. If
what a waste of an elite defense though this year.
Yeah, man. If Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen are like, elegant champagne, he is a Bud Light and a Four Loko thrown into a beer bong and just seeing where it takes you.
Yeah, this might date you. He's a Sparks.
The
30-plus-year-olds know what I'm talking about.
I unfortunately don't know. What is a Sparks? Enlighten me.
It was Four Loko before Four Loko. It was like this. Or it tasted like Sunny D, but it was like an alcoholic energy drink. And I just remember that was my drink when I was 18 and 19 and 20 years old. Pound down 4 of those, and you're kind of space traveling.
How much alcohol was in those things?
Man, I think they were solid 8 to 9 percenters. Like Sparks.
The Four Locos are like 13, 14.
Yeah, those hit the market in 2002. 12% alcohol. Holy. Dude, when I got my first year at CMU, Four Loko, that's when they got in trouble where kids were like,
yeah, because they're like dying.
And just and then they started selling the cans, and the powder that made it crazy, they would just attach to the outside, so you could drink it without the powder. You could mix the powder in.
It's a solid. I retired from Four Locos my freshman year of college, and that'll never.
My first weekend, welcome weekend, my first 21-year-old welcome weekend at CMU. We each bought like 3 Four Locos because we were all broke and shit. It was like, I don't feel good. There's like animals fighting in my head like the next morning. And stuff, I feel like. Oh God. Oh, that was the
we'll find a way to transition from that into the Bengals Ravens because the Bengals are 9.5-point favorites. I assume Lamar's not playing. I haven't seen the official injury report from Baltimore yet.
It sounded like it was a long shot, and I don't know what's happening there. Does Lamar ever play for the Ravens again?
Wouldn't that be something? Here's the thing: if you're a team like,
it's possible.
if you're a team like the Jets, who that would be crazy if they just made a play and said, no, we're signing Lamar Jackson. We'll give him whatever the hell he wants. We'll give him $300 million all guaranteed if he never plays a snap.
Yeah, how many first round picks do you want? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, he's going to be a free agent. So.
Oh yeah. What? Wait. After this year, he's a free agent.
Yeah, but if they don't get a deal, there's no deal that got done. So he's
his own agent.
Now Baltimore could just tag him, I believe. Like, let me pull up his contract situation on Spot Track.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you'd have to trade for him, yeah, like that's going to be like, okay, we'll start the bidding at 4 first-round picks. You know, that's not going to be. That's going to be a hard bargain to drive.
Man, they cannot let him go away. I think that would be.
No, the offense is literally tailor built around him. You can't let him walk. Like
that would just. I mean, I know I don't know that they aren't the Ravens without him.
Right.
Just all respect to Tyler Huntley. I think he's got a little something too. But
yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2023.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a problem.
If you're a team like the Jets, who has, like, we've already touched on all this talent, you add Lamar Jackson to that team. Holy balls, would they be fun? There's a wild card. If you're a team like the Miami Dolphins, who has all that talent, Lamar Jackson to Miami.
Yeah, because we don't know what the heck's going on with Tua. That sounds like a pretty scary situation there too.
It's I mean, 2 concussions in 1 year. There's no guarantee that he's gonna. I mean, if he decides, hey, I can't do this again, like
he's gonna be under. That's not a good deal. I think that's kind of cruised under the radar too a little bit. That's a potentially pretty big freaking story right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I would blank check Lamar if I were.
I would also blank check Lamar.
All of the risks. I understand all of the risks, but if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, to win one Super Bowl, it's like when people were saying the Rams lost that Matthew Stafford trade because they're having a bad year this year. You dumbasses! They won a Super Bowl.
They would absolutely do that trade again.
It's like, oh my God, Goff is younger. He's on a better contract. The Lions won this deal. They won a freaking Super Bowl. That is the goal. If that's not the goal, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
So it's just like, I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of risk with Lamar. It's justifiable. It's verified risk. But like anything you want from any team in the league except for like 5.
In a crazy world where Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are like, you know what?
Oh God,
let's go get him. And then they move. We'll trade Trey Lance. We'll let Jimmy Garoppolo walk. We'll figure out a way to play the cap where we give him $290 million guaranteed, but a ton of it's just in like a signing bonus where he gets it so it doesn't play against the cap. Like there's a ton of ways that they could do it. And I'll say this: if the 49ers sign Lamar Jackson, let's just see who's going to make it out of the AFC in terms of the Super Bowl team, because there is not one defense in the NFL or one overall team in the league that I think could stop all of that. That's literally a Pro Bowl roster that they're throwing out every Sunday saying, good luck, have fun. Watch what Lamar Jackson does with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle for 18 weeks. Have fun, NFL.
And I'm still thinking about the Jets running RPOs with Breece Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Garrett Wilson running routes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. The Jets really have something. They can't. The more I've thought about it, they cannot be conservative at the quarterback.
No, they can't.
Their entire offseason needs to be retaining that defense, retaining the core pieces, and putting everything you have into a new quarterback.
Exactly.
Just like Indy should. Just like yeah.
Another wild card. The Titans.
Jaguars.
Shut up.
Bury him. Titans are starting Josh Dobbs at quarterback heading into the final weeks of the season. Let me just tell you this. I know you know Josh Dobbs from the Pittsburgh time.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, Josh Dobbs was sitting silently by himself in the Lions locker room on the practice squad, and now he's starting 3 straight games for a potential playoff team to end the season. The NFL is freaking crazy.
It is.
Like, crazy. He spent 6 silent days in isolation in the Lions locker room.
Really?
I mean, he was there on the practice squad for like I think it was a week or 2. It's hard to forget. And it was whenever Tim Boyle got signed by the Bears, he replaced Boyle, and Tennessee signed him off Detroit's practice squad, and he's already better than Malik Willis.
Yeah, which That says a lot about this year's quarterback class, where the final pick of the draft has outplayed every other quarterback in terms of Brock Purdy. And
Ritter's done some things to make me feel like he could still be.
I know that you like Ritter coming out, man. There is nothing there for me. Absolutely nothing, man.
I feel like he's like a plus Mariota down the line to me. I feel like, which is great.
He looks like he could have an AARP card.
I don't know. He did some. I know
he's my age, and he looks 50.
Like, I don't think he's thrown a touchdown pass yet either.
I don't think so either.
That offense is like Tyler Allgeier's doing some things in that Arthur Smith offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's raising some eyebrows, and like Cordero does some nice stuff every once in a while. But
throwing a little bit.
Who are they going to throw it to?
I know, no Pitts and Drake London's Neil. Yeah, no,
outside of Drake London. Name me a Falcons receiver. I know I can't.
Daryl Hodge.
Jesus H. That is such a bad roster.
And that dude with the long last name that starts with a Z.
The dude. Hold on, I'm looking at him. Now I'm just curious. The dude with a long last name that starts with a Z. It's not one of the Zylstras, is it?
No, they're both in Detroit.
Zach Zylstra's in Detroit too?
Yeah, but not Brandon and Shane Zylstra are in Detroit.
I thought that there was a Zach Zylstra too.
Maybe there is. Is there another Zylstra flying around?
Oh, let me look. He was on the Panthers last year because I remember he scored like a random touchdown in a game that they weren't supposed to win. It was early on. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember him scoring last year. Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yes, thank you, Zaccheaus.
I'm looking up all the Zylstras right now. This is the
Brandon and Shane are both in Detroit. I don't know about the other ones.
Brandon Zylstra. Let me pull up his was he in Carolina last year?
He was in Carolina last year.
That's the Zylstra I'm thinking of. I didn't know that he had left. So
yeah, both of them in Detroit, both Zylstra brothers. Yep.
By the way, it's crazy. I know that we already talked about the lines, but they have like 9 tight ends that are just random white dudes that I'm pretty sure just made up that are just made up human beings. One of them catches a touchdown like every other week. Let me pull up the
Brock
line.
Wright, man. Brock Wright.
Yeah, Brock Wright. Who the hell is Brock Wright?
Brock Wright, baby, had that game-winning touchdown against that 52-yarder on 4th and 1 against the Jets. He had 2 touchdowns last week. Zylstra had 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago.
James Mitchell and Shane Zylstra, Jason Kabinda, who was a linebacker at Penn State.
Now he's a fullback.
Now he's a fullback. Oh, my goodness.
Kabinda, man. Kabinda's their NFLPA rep too. It's like he's awesome, man. Kabinda's awesome. Kabinda's a glue to that locker room.
When was this? In the offseason, I shot him a DM on Twitter. I was like, hey, I just want to see if you want to come on the show or whatnot. He texted me, no lie, like a month ago. He's like, dude, I don't check this, but I'm still down. I was like, all right, man. We can figure this out.
Kabinda's a good talker. He was really, really good and emotional about the Hamlin stuff in the locker room earlier this week too. He's talking about a call with his mom, making sure he's going to be okay out there and stuff like that. And he'd be a good get. Good get.
Duly noted. I will shoot him a text right after this episode is done.
Yep.
Let me see if there's anything else that we actually need to address before.
We covered everything we need to address and didn't need to address.
I think we have as well. Yeah.
2 minutes we've been in freelance mode.
The best quarterback matchup of the week, Skylar Thompson against Joe Flacco, since we've touched a little bit on the Jets and Dolphins. Dolphins need a win. And a little bit of, I believe they need a little bit of help. They need New England to lose, which is, I mean, they're playing the Bills, so they need to win, and then they're basically in as long as Buffalo takes care of business. But Skylar Thompson is their quarterback. So
Kansas State, right? Yeah, that's right.
Dude, I don't even know if I'm being perfectly honest. Couldn't tell you.
That was my NFL PFWA assigned combine transcript at the combine. Skylar Thompson. That's right. Oh, yeah.
Joe Flacco is on the other side, though, because they're not starting Mike White.
So Flacco versus Skylar Thompson.
Steelers are going to be the biggest Joe Flacco fans, and which is quite the turn of reality.
The Jets will probably win that game, I feel like.
They're 3-point dogs.
The Jets are?
Yeah.
And I know the Dolphins got a lot of talent, but
their defense doesn't.
No,
the secondary doesn't.
The secondary doesn't. That's going to be like a 13-9 Jets win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm betting the under. The over-under is 37.5.
That feels just gross enough to be tricky.
So I'm gonna just throw a little bit on the under, is what I'm deciding to do.
I'm about to retire from gambling. It's just been 2 weeks straight of just one leg misses.
Here's the thing. I don't want to hear you complain about gambling when you're making hella money off the fucking Mac for like a month.
Those Mac Tuesday night games, I came on your show like 3 weeks in a row, and I'm like, shit.
I'm making money.
I made like $850 on Ball State football. Yeah, just like a couple of those disgusting. No, it's been cold though. It's been cold. You know, Western Michigan effed me last night in basketball. Couldn't lose by less than 20.
College basketball, I'm absolutely.
Oh, that's my mainframe matrix hookup is the college basketball.
I cannot say the same.
College basketball junkie year round.
I cannot say the same, my friend. I don't know if I can name one college basketball player, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Not one?
Not one.
Penn State's all right this year. Come on.
Good for them, man. I couldn't tell you who plays for them. Could not tell you. I'm looking at over-unders for the week before we get out of here. Some fun spreads, too. The Falcons are 4.5-point favorites over Tampa Bay just because Brady and everybody aren't going to play. And they stunk whenever they were all playing. I'm going to absolutely hammer Colts-Texans under 37.5. That seems like the closest thing to a lock that you could get all week.
And that's for the number one pick, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So number one, Texans need to lose to keep it. The Bears could potentially sneak up
and get it, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Bears have a number one pick to trade because Bryce Young.
If you're the Bears, I mean, are you even trying to win? I mean, basically not. They're starting
Nathan Peterman, man. They want that number one pick. The Bears are freaking. I mean, the Texans are rotating Jeff Driscoll and Davis Mills, so they're not.
Yeah,
really trying
you know that they don't want it. And then Nick Foles got thrown out there by the Colts. Is
he the starter again in Indy?
I would assume so. Yeah,
they Ellinger. Did he get hurt?
Oh yeah, they might turn to Sam Ellinger again because why not?
Enough with this Nick Foles bullshit. Like, no offense to the guy, but it's done, and it was done 3 stops ago. Like,
no one has parlayed one magic carpet ride into more money in the history of the world than Nick Foles.
Baller, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, freaking. What a magical. I mean, that's still one of those.
Because he went after Philadelphia, they still kept him when Wentz was there for a little bit, and then he had another little playoff run where they beat the Bears on the double doink. Then from there he went to Jacksonville, and then Chicago, and then I think there was at least one more stop in between then and Indianapolis. But yeah, a lot of different stops.
Fun fact about Nick Foles: started his career at Michigan State before transferring to Arizona.
Did
he? That's all I got for you.
Who's he behind?
At Michigan State?
Yeah, was he behind Cousins?
Oh God, I'm trying to.
Because he was drafted, I think he was a rookie in 2012 or 2011.
He was at Michigan State my senior year of high school behind Brian Hoyer, baby.
Brian Hoyer. Goodness.
God, Foles was at Michigan State my senior year of high school? That dude, how old is Nick freaking Foles? That's what we're ending on, is how old Nick Foles is. I'm going to be shocked by that answer, I feel like. I'm actually not shocked by that answer. I'm shocked in the opposite way I thought I was going to be shocked.
Okay, so your senior year of high school.
I'm older than this prick, and I was just talking about it.
I'll say 32.
He's 33. That blows
33.
I call him a prick just because he's younger than me, and I was talking to how the hell was I older than him my senior year of high school while he was a freaking freshman at Michigan State? Like, what happened there?
How old were you when you graduated?
I was one of the older kids in my class. I was.
Were you like a year ahead of everybody? Like, did you start late?
I was 18 and a half when I graduated.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
When's your birthday? November?
December 24th. So I'm kind of a year-end. Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Oh, I didn't know. You're 2 days after me. I didn't.
You 22nd?
Yeah.
24th, baby. That's right.
I did not know. I've known you for a decent amount of time now, and I feel bad for not knowing that.
It's all right. It's all right. I didn't know your birthday either, so that's all right.
That's true. You didn't.
I don't know most people's birthday because I'm not on Facebook much anymore, and that was the only way I kept up with that shit.
I think my generation is the generation that like just stays away from Facebook, so I don't really use it.
I respect it. I went into that too. I use it for my post game videos that work makes me do, and that's about it.
I know you said you wanted to end on Nick Foles and his age, and that is very funny. But I need to ask about your most recent pro wrestling show.
Oh yeah, that's last Wednesday, man. It's a good time. It's a good time. It should be dropping on IWTV Independent Wrestling app here pretty soon. I'm gonna check. But it was fantastic. It was great. The next show is February 10th. Love Hurts. Giselle Shaw, Angelina Love, gonna be a
Angelina Love. You know what? That was my first wrestling crush back in like late 2000s watching TNA and be like, Angelina Love.
Yeah, man. I opened this past Combat One wrestling show in the ring doing my best Tony Schiavone with Giselle Shaw. And it was my first interview in the ring like that, and she owned me like a good heel should, and just like, hey, honey, how about facing the hard cam? And I'm just like, motherfucker, I'm one of the guys that didn't face the hard cam, and how many people have I complained about? It was awesome. She boom pancaked me in the forehead. It was good stuff. And
that's awesome.
I was also like, why are we sending the 6'6" guy in the ring to do interviews? I made her look like she was 4 foot tall.
I was gonna say anybody that you interview is gonna look minuscule.
No, it was great. It was great. It was round 2, headlined by Rhino and Anderson. There was a Hockey Town street fight with Darren McCarty as the special guest enforcer. It was a good time. And the next show, yeah, February 10th, already coming up, month away. But yeah, independentwrestling.tv, Combat One Wrestling. It's $10 a month to get access to more than just that. There's thousands of promotions. There's hundreds of shows every single week. It's fantastic. But yeah, if you want to hear me call a wrestling show, that's where you find that. Combat One Wrestling, baby.
I'm looking forward to watching it. It's always good talking to you. We'll do this more throughout the playoffs and whatnot. If we're lucky, the Detroit Lions will be in it if they get a win and a little bit of help. Regardless, hell of a regular season thus far. And in terms of like how many appearances you've had, this is definitely like, I'm glad that I got to spend it with you, and I'm glad that we keep doing this.
Oh yeah, me too, man. That's I always try and find a way to say yes to you.
You do.
And I say no, I find a way to say yes.
and I greatly appreciate it. So yeah, we'll get into the playoffs. It's going to be a fun weekend. We got Chiefs Raiders today at 4, and then we got Jaguars Titans tonight, the Josh Dobbs Bowl.
I'm gonna wear my Fred Taylor jersey.
Oh man, I don't have any. Oh wait, that's a lie. I've got.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a little.
Yes.
Oh,
Jacksonville win the AFC South and make life great.
Football helmet of all time.
That's why I bought it, because it's so atrocious. It is so bad. Look at this horrible.
The Jaguars were my Madden team for like the first 20 years of my Madden existence, and the second they started that freaking helmet, I started moving the team to Toronto or picking somebody else.
There's no better way to end the show on the bad Jaguars helmet. Appreciate you, buddy. We'll do this again soon. Thanks everybody for listening. Enjoy the final week of the regular season. This is the Bump Fake.